Whoa.
Whoa.
Jet was hiding.
Hey, make him cover my face the whole time. What if they just put that on my body?
There. Alright.
When
there we
that
go.
photo comes back, will you just put it on my body?
Where he looks confused.
It's just his head.
Anyway. Woo! 2001 film Kiss of the Dragon starring Jet Li.
The story was Jet Li's story as well.
He came up with the original story concept.
Yeah. Luc Besson wrote the script. Luc Besson is most famously known for films like The Fifth Element, La Femme Nikita, Lucy, lots of stuff.
Lucy. Like, look, I was actually pretty cool with the movie Lucy up until like the last 10 minutes.
I never saw
where it went like needlessly off the rails. Like, there is no reason for a movie to jump the shark as hard as that movie did. Because, like, she's got, like, she's about to use 100% of her brain, right? Mm-hmm. She turns into an organic supercomputer. Why?
I don't know.
'Cause it was a problem for me.
Oh.
Anyway. Who else is in this movie?
So we have Jet Li. Mm-hmm. We have Bridget Fonda.
Fantastic Fonda performance.
And
Checky Cariel.
Yes, who he was Bob in the original La Femme Nikita.
Right.
Vincent Wong. I forget the actor that
Rick
played
Young.
the uncle, but he was in all of the original like Pink Panther movies.
His last name is Kwong. Oh, it's gonna bother me now.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rick Young, character actor Rick Young, who's been in a ton of stuff. Mm-hmm. Most people would know Rick Young as the young lady's dad, the bad guy from the first Transporter movie. But he's been in a ton of Scorsese movies. Scorsese uses him if he needs an Asian actor. Lots of like mob stuff. Mm-hmm. He's been around for a long time. We also have Victor Wong. You want to talk about a legendary career? Vincent Wong. I apologize. But
Victor Wong was in John Carpenter movies.
Yep. I knew where that was going. Vincent Wong has a 50-year career going back to, oh man, like he did like Golden Harvest movies. But I don't think he was ever like a martial artist. I feel like he was more of an actor's actor. Because there was two things at the time. There was the opera and there was Golden Harvest movies. You know what I mean? But he's been around forever, and he's actually still pretty good in this movie, even though he has a pretty small part.
But yeah, this was directed by Chris Nahan. He's a French director. He also directed Blood, The Last Vampire.
I just looked. I got texts from both of these guys on my phone that we had no audio.
Oh,
thanks, guys. I'm sorry. I appreciate your help.
The soundtrack. It's a very like hip hop electronic kind of soundtrack.
It's all the Neptunes.
Yeah, the music was done by Craig Armstrong. I think he is most well known for doing music for Moulin Rouge, but
Burt Kwok is the gentleman's name.
Yes. This was a pretty successful movie when it came out. It had a budget of $25 million, and the total box office revenue was $64.4 million. It was banned in China though because of the violent content, so Jet Li did speak out against the censorship.
But also, like, there are some themes in this movie that are almost meant to be fought against. You have these hyper misogynistic characters, racists, corrupt police officers. Like, there's all these things that make you point at characters in this movie and just be like, bastard, bad guy, hate him, he can die anytime soon. And, like, everybody gets their just comeuppance, and it's kind of what makes the movie work.
Yeah, so Jet Li came up with the story. There's that picture. You missed it. And he really wanted the action in the movie to be as realistic as possible, because at the time that this movie came out, films like The Matrix and Charlie's Angels were really popular, so a lot of like
wire work,
CGI and wire work, and he did not want to do that. So there's only 2 scenes in this entire movie that had CGI enhancement and just 1 scene that had wire work, because he was like really adamant about it being as realistic as possible.
When you think about it, seeing some of the things physically that he did in this film, knowing that there's no wire work, it would be amazing to see the behind the scenes. Like, them, it would be cool to see them shooting the scene, because you'd be able to physically see him do some of these things.
Yeah. And this film was one of Bridget Fonda's last on-screen performances. She was in one other movie and then had one TV role after, but she was in a pretty horrific car accident in 2003, and she retired from acting. She was actually about 36, 37 when she made this movie, and I was reading an interview at the time. She was actually dating Dwight Yoakam at the time, and she was excited for this role because she heard Luc Besson and Jet Li were attached, and Luc Besson was so secretive with the script, I guess because like in French, like the French media, he was so used to being hounded, and so he initially only sent her a few pages of the script, and he was like, but hey, we've got Jet Li that's doing this, so that's what piqued her interest.
Which also makes me wonder if she'd ever met Luc Besson before, because she starred in Point of No Return,
which was the remake of
La Femme Nikita.
I mean, maybe he might have been like a producer
and
on that.
Like, Point of No Return is almost shot for shot the same movie as La Femme Nikita.
Yeah.
Not quite as slick, not quite as stylish, but in a general sense, yeah.
But the interview I was reading was pretty interesting because she said she felt really connected to the character of Jessica because she too was fighting with a daily depression, and because in the movie she has a daughter, the interviewer was like, oh, do you ever see yourself getting married or having kids? And she was like, not really, like I've come close to getting married a few times. I can't really, like, I wouldn't count it out, but I don't really see it happening for me. Same with being a mom. And then just a few years, like 2 years after this, I'm trying to think of when she met Danny Elfman. She might have met him in like 2003, the same year as her accident, and they ended up having a son like in 2005. But it's interesting that at that time she didn't really see that life for herself, and then not long after this, that's where her life took her, and she's since retired, and
she lives a pretty private life now.
Yeah, she is a member of a very famous acting family, the Fondas. Her aunt is Jane Fonda, her dad was Peter Fonda, and her uncle was who was the main Fonda?
What? The main Fonda?
I can't remember.
I always thought the main
Jane's brother.
I always thought the main Fonda was Peter.
Then what was that Peter Fonda? What was her dad's name?
I don't know why you're asking me. That's your
work. Oh my goodness.
Encyclopedia.
I can't believe Henry Fonda.
Henry Fonda
was her
yes.
Was her grandfather.
That's the main Fonda. That's the first Fonda.
Yeah, so then Jane and Peter were siblings, and oh goodness.
So we get right off the. I mean, this movie starts fast. Mm-hmm. Like you're in and you're going. Jet Li plays a Chinese police officer sent to France to oversee an investigation over a heroin dealer. Mm-hmm. A corrupt French police inspector sets him up, played by Checky Cario. Mm-hmm. Cryo. I'm saying that right. Sets him up for the murder of said drug dealer, which he had double blinded the murder. So he hired a prostitute to murder him, and then had planned to go in and kill the prostitute also. But it all goes wrong when Jet Li's character interrupts and throws it all into a tailspin, and then we literally get like a bullet storm all over Paris of this corrupt police inspector trying to hunt down Jet Li's character. Then we have Bridget Fonda's character, who is one of the prostitutes who was in the room, but she didn't really want to be there. So there's two ways for this to be proven: her and the cassette tape the videotape that wasn't turned off fast enough. It goes off the rails.
And Bridget Fonda's character, Jessica, talk about a character that's just been completely kicked down because, like, the whole time she doesn't look like glamorous or anything. Her makeup is a mess. Her hair is a mess. It often looks like wet or greasy. Her outfit is a mess. But she's a survivor, and to me, I know this is an action movie, but the scenes between her and Jet Li, I think, are what really make the film, because there are some very heartwarming scenes that I was like, oh, I'm getting close to shedding a tear, like that kind of thing. That is what really worked for me in this movie. I thought they had really good chemistry, and there were some parts that I laughed out loud because, like, their comedic timing was pretty on point too.
This movie really shows off Jet Li's comedic timing. Mm-hmm. He can be a funny actor. Mm-hmm. And he gets a couple opportunities to do it in this movie, and I didn't remember those until watching them here, like, for the show, and I was pleasantly surprised.
And I will say, like, the last 20 minutes, half hour of this movie are definitely the best. There are some action scenes, especially toward the end, that are pretty gruesome.
Are you talking about the one with the twins?
Yeah.
And that's what I told her. That's one of the reasons I brought this movie back up and even bought it. Bought it at 1UP Games. Check your local 1UP game. Go to your local 1UP Games and check out their used DVD Blu-ray collection. There's a scene between him and these two French twins.
One is like French and the other is Russian.
In real life, one is French and one is Russian, but they're made to look they actually look exactly the same somehow. Yeah. One is a Taekwondo black belt in real life. The other one is a master of the French art savate, which is a kicking art made for fighting on boats. That's a real thing. If you watch savate tournaments, they have the most hilarious uniforms that they wear. They've got, like, white shoes and stirrups.
He had to ask me what...
I forgot what those were called when your pants went around your foot like that.
Yeah, so I had to remind him what that word was.
Yeah,
so, I'm proud of you for remembering.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So we get this fight scene between him and these two real-life martial artists. And I told her, look, a lot of the stuff in this movie, one of the reasons I respect the martial arts in this movie is it looks like everything has impact, like they're landing. You watch a film made by, like, the new martial arts masters on film are somebody like Scott Adkins. I respect Scott Adkins' talent. I've watched almost all of his movies. Some of them are not so great. Some of them are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not very often where you watch a Scott Adkins movie and go, ooh, ow, that looked like it really hurt. Like, you appreciate the beauty of what he's doing, but you don't really get those, ow, that feel, that, when you're watching it, you go like this.
Which I definitely had that in this movie.
Well, he's fighting these two twins, and I told her there's a part where one tries to land this particular thing, and Jet Li does a thing, and you're not going to like it. And she was like, okay. And then it got to the end of he takes them out in brutal fashion.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of gross.
Well, his character, what's interesting, too, is the whole acupuncture
He wears a
aspect.
Yeah, and he actually... Is he wearing that the whole time, or does he steal it from that...
I think he's wearing it the whole time.
Okay, so he's wearing acupuncture needles around his... and a bracelet around his wrist. Mm-hmm. And the whole movie, he's using them very strategically in situations. Yeah. And it gives a different twist, a different feeling as a martial arts film, where there's this thing that he can use, that he knows how to do, that nobody else probably would understand.
Because the way the main villain is taken out, it doesn't seem... It's like, oh, okay, like that's pretty... It seems simple. It is horrifying what this little thing can do. And this is essentially where the title of the movie comes from. There's, like, a specific, like, acupuncture point on the back of your neck, and
it causes the blood in your body to be rerouted to your brain.
Yeah.
And when the needle is taken out, the blood that is accumulated in your skull is released, and it doesn't go back through your circulatory system. It comes out wherever it can, because all the pressure is built up. So your head becomes a blood hose. And that's what happens.
The movie shows it.
Yep. It's like, a long sequence.
If this movie had, like, come out in the 80s on VHS, I can imagine, like, that scene in RoboCop when the main villain
gets splattered.
Like, you hear kids that are like, yeah, I used to rewind that over and over. Like, I could see, like, people rewinding this over and over. It's really graphic.
Another cool thing that I wanted to point out about this movie that I don't feel like a lot of people would grasp unless they were as into the history of martial arts films as me, is that it references multiple Bruce Lee movies. We get shots, fight scenes that reference The Big Boss, or it's Fist of Fury. We get scenes that reference Game of Death. We get... He actually verbally does a couple of things that you go, that kind of sounded like Bruce. And then the idea that he is from China, goes to France, and his base is a restaurant, it's kind of an obvious nod to Return of the Dragon, or Way of the Dragon for some people. There's two names for the film, and neither of them's right, but neither of them's wrong either. Hey, Nick, you still have my... Bruce Lee collection.
Oh, yeah, that's
you
right.
should watch those. What else? Were you thinking anything else about the film?
Not really, because I didn't want to get... I feel like we did give a lot away, but I still, like, in retrospect, because this season we also talked about the Replacement Killers, I think I still would consider the Replacement Killers the superior movie, but there are things about this movie that work really well too, and I think maybe they could be a fun double feature.
Oh, I feel like it would be a perfect double feature. Yeah. The Replacement Killers is definitely the better movie. Yeah, you should probably check those out, and then I'll bring this over, and you can go, oh yeah,
because, like, I mean, they're both, like, stylish in ways. This movie, there wasn't really anything, like, groundbreaking about it. What really surprised me was just the brutality, especially with it. Like, I haven't seen all of Jet Li's movies, but I'm used to seeing him in movies like Hero and...
we have actually a majority of Jet Li's movies here. She just hasn't watched them.
Yeah.
There's Fist of Legend. I know Hero's down there. I know we have the one somewhere. Because we bought a whole Jet Li collection, I believe.
Like, I'm trying to remember Romeo Must Die. I don't remember if that was really, like, as brutal as this one.
No, because that's one of the MTV opera things. It was an MTV production, so I doubt that it would be as... I don't remember it being as violent. I remember it being more about the style of the film.
Yeah.
And that... So, Romeo... Uncaged? Definitely violent. Uncaged is...
Which one is
That's the one with him and Bob Hoskins.
Is that the one where he was kept kind of like a
dog? And he's got the collar.
I've never seen that.
Oh my god, we gotta find... And it's actually one of the hardest ones to find.
Yeah.
It is one of the hardest ones to find. It was one of those ones that played consistently on, like, late night television.
Yeah.
But, on, like, physical media, it's really hard to find, and if we find it, I'm buying it immediately. So if you know somewhere to get a copy of Uncaged, starring Jet Li and Bob Hoskins, send it right over to... That's actually a really good, like, bad guy performance. You hate Bob Hoskins in that movie.
Oh, I recently watched... Speaking of Bob Hoskins... Mona Lisa. Oh my god. I have never seen... him in such a, like, sensitive role before.
He was a fantastic actor in anything he did,
Yeah. But that was also made by Neil Jordan, who made The Crying Game and Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, yeah.
But that was an excellent movie.
I believe
that was probably the best Bob Hoskins performance that I've ever seen, but I haven't seen Uncaged, so...
I don't know if I'd say
just because his range in this movie, because he's, like, a tough guy, but then he does have very emotional scenes, and I had never seen... Like, I'm used to, like Mermaids. That was the... Mermaids or,
Who Framed
the
Roger
Mario...
Rabbit.
Yes. But that was more, like... Those were more, like, comedic, where he was, like, the lovable guy, or, like, Super Mario Brothers, but...
Which... A lot of people say... Unleashed, not Uncaged.
Unleashed.
I kept saying Uncaged. I meant Unleashed. It's just I got into the saying Uncaged for some reason. But yeah, Unleashed.
Both words.
Thank you.
Unleashed, not Uncaged. The story of Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage came out as a goth the other day.
Oh, he came out as a goth, huh?
He
like a Visigoth. He owns castles.
I know, he has he has like a raven or something that he says mocks him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He has a raven named Poe. Anyway, Jesus. How did we get here?
I don't know.
Regardless,
I am not ashamed to say that admired Nicolas Cage.
We do have to find a copy of Unleashed. Thanks. Because think of Checky Cario's character in this, and now have Bob Hoskins doing it.
Yeah.
It's almost the same character, only it's Bob Hoskins.
Yeah.
Just giving it. With that, he's always had that hard, gravelly voice, especially when he's yelling. He's a little older, so he's got like some bulk on him.
Yeah.
There is a slight fight scene between him and Jet Li where he looks great in it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But that's for another day because I haven't seen that movie in a long time, and that would be a good
stay
tuned
again.
Ooh, stay tuned for Scene Again on that.
I also have another idea for a good Scene Again movie. So I Married an Axe Murderer. I think that would be funny. I don't know where you can find it.
Whoa, man. Anyway. You can get Unleashed on Amazon for $8. We don't do... No. Okay, so yeah.
Like the DVD or to rent it.
Right. See,
That's
I would want to find it at that's one I want to find organically at like a resale store.
I feel like we would be able to.
You know, it's one of those ones. Remember when we went? Oh, what movie was it that we went into the movie store and I was like, "We're gonna find it today," and it was like 5 minutes in. I was like, "I can't believe it!"
Because I do feel like it was a pretty popular movie when it came out, and
well, it was one of those movies that was a bigger deal. Like everybody that saw it in theaters loved it, but it was a much bigger deal after it came out on like home video.
I know my mom used to have it on DVD, but I think I was always...
Unleashed?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
When it came out, my mom loved Jet Li, but
what?
Yeah. But
awesome.
I think it was one of those movies where it's like, oh, I'll watch that
Check it out.
like another time, and I always just took it for granted, and I never got around to watching it.
There's the big guy that takes off his shirt and stuff in the restaurant in this. He's also a guy that gets beat up in that movie too.
Oh, okay.
Like I feel like he's a frequent collaborator of Jet. You know, like a lot of martial artists use the same guys in their movies because they trust them.
Yeah.
Like Jackie Chan and his buddy that did all their movies together, like that.
Yeah.
And that's Kiss of the Dragon from 2001.
Yeah.
Better than I remember, actually. I thought it was going to be worse.
Still held up. Like, I was still wincing at some of those scenes.
Oh, man. Some of the fight scenes are rough. Which, again, this is another movie where guns are everywhere. Jet Li never uses one.
Yeah.
And you see that in a lot of his movies.
He does use chopsticks in a pretty gross way in one scene.
Chopsticks aren't a gun.
But, yeah, just... To me, the best thing about this movie was the chemistry between him and Bridget Fonda and just their scenes. Like, there is a scene where they're having a conversation, and then it starts, like, you get these quick shots of close-ups of their eyes. Like, there's this, like, emotional connection building. And that first scene where he's like, oh, why can't you just quit? Why? And she's like, well, it's not that easy. And her character rambles a lot when she talks, but you kind of get the gist of what she's saying, and you get his reaction shots, and it's like he's getting worked up from hearing her story. It just... And by the way, they're the same height in real life. They're both 5'6".
But she's wearing heels.
But she's wearing these giant, like, these boots that just make her tower over him.
Which actually, we get something rare in this movie. We get not one, but 2 Jet Li smiles. Which is not something that comes up very often. He's usually very stoic. He plays like the straightforward.
Yeah.
So we get a couple of emotions out of Jet in this movie.
Yeah.
The scenes that make the movie for me, like what you need in a martial arts movie like this is a great villain, a bad guy.
Yeah.
And the scenes between Jessica and the Inspector Richard, where he is just the biggest bastard. He's the worst, and you hate him. The movie makes you hate him for good reason. So when it comes around to what has to happen, like in a lot of martial arts action movies, the bad guy at the end just gets shot. Like he gets shot, and it's over, right?
Or you get like the annoying scenes where the villain goes into like a monologue and explains their whole intentions. And this movie, it's just like Jet Li's like, I'm gonna take you out really quickly, and he pretty much does.
And he's like, there's actually a couple points where he is purposefully not saying his intention, and that's what furthers the plot. Like, Officer Richard lying is what lets you know what's actually going on. So it's the opposite of the bad guy monologue. It is Kiss of the Dragon. Yeah, you're catching us right at the end of of us talking about Kiss of the Dragon. If you want to catch up with this segment, just watch this week when it gets dropped as its own segment on YouTube.
So we're going to have this segment, and then we're going to have our 4-hour loop of our Daft Punk Around the World segment.
Before you got here, we did Daft Punk's Around the World in our Themes to Be Heard segment, and we're going to put a 4-hour loop of just that. So dumb.
But what an evening this has been.
Oh, man.